Power isn't given, it's taken. Love isn't gentle. It's a war. And Vixen, she's about to decide which battle is worth fighting. One man offers a throne, another an unspoken promise. And the whole world, watching, waiting, ready to see her next move. Will she claim her crown or set everything on fire? This is Vixen, Part 3, A Throne or a Heart. The sunlight filtered through ivory curtains, scattering a soft golden glow across Vixen's bedroom. Everything in her penthouse was still, except her. She lay awake, not from rest, but from the relentless hum of a sleepless mind. Her silk sheets clung to bare legs like unanswered questions. Her hand reached blindly for her phone. The screen lit up, and there it was. A successful art gala, showcasing the works of the famous artist Julius Dembwe, with his fiancée, Nia Mensa, daughter of the renowned diplomat Kwaku Mensa, by his side. She read it twice, 3 times. Each time it sank in deeper. She hadn't known. Julius, the man whose silence had grown louder each day. He wasn't just standing beside another woman, he was bound to her. Promised. A woman tied to him through history and arrangement. A woman who wore diplomacy like a gown and spoke in the language of alliances. This wasn't love. This was structure. This was legacy. Vixen rolled onto her back, her arm across her eyes. The ceiling spun. Not from dizziness, but from disbelief. So that's why he's been quiet. Her mind spiraled. Was I a secret? A thrill in between obligations? A woman too wild for the narrative he was raised into? She sat up, threw the sheets back, and walked barefoot across the cold marble floors to the balcony. Below, the city of Accra buzzed like a kingdom she once ruled. But today, she felt like an outsider to her own empire. The wind caught her robe as she leaned over the railing. Let him have her, she thought. Let them all pretend. But the ache in her chest whispered something else. She didn't want him to choose tradition. She wanted him to choose her. And his silence was its own answer. By midday, the knock at the door echoed like a prophecy. A delivery. No words, no calls. Just an obsidian vase, cradling a wild bouquet of exotic blooms. Orchids, lilies, black roses. Flowers not native to Zanzuri region, but flown in from Tade's favourite boutique in Morocco. Wrapped in black silk, tied with gold thread. And nestled within the petals, a note. Heavy cardstock, edged in gold. The Owusu family crest pressed into a blood-red wax seal. She cracked it open, already knowing who it was from. I have an announcement to make. Join me for dinner. Be fabulous as always. You're the guest of honor. That was all it said. No time, no address, no explanation. But she knew. She always knew when Tade was moving pieces. This wasn't an invitation, it was a challenge. She turned the card over, traced the edges. Tade was growing tired of waiting. He had pursued her with patience, but patience had an expiration date. She tossed the card onto her vanity, then caught her own reflection in the mirror, and paused. She looked the same, but something inside her had shifted. Tonight wouldn't be about Tade. It would be about her power, about what she'd do if Julius refused to fight. Tade, Owusu, the man who never entered a room. He arrived, preceded by silence, followed by awe. Heir to a gold dynasty. Owner of 2 luxury tech conglomerates, richer than most kings. But Tade's power wasn't just in wealth. It was in presence. He didn't flirt. He declared. He didn't ask. He invited. And Vixen had been the only woman who'd ever made him wait. Everyone else fell into formation. She walked beside him, then turned left, and he loved her for it. His friends had warned him. She's too wild. She won't submit. She'll ruin your reputation. But he didn't care. Because power didn't scare him. It intrigued him. And tonight, he would find out. Would she rule beside him, or burn his kingdom down? The sky outside had shifted to indigo. Her phone buzzed once. M-O-M. She stared at the name on the screen for a second too long before picking up. "I assume you've seen the headlines?" Her mother's voice rang smooth as aged whiskey. "I have." A pause. The air between them always started as a chessboard. And Vixen leaned back in her chair, twirling the stem of her wine glass. "And what, Mother?" "Don't start with me, Vivian. You know what this is. Julius is already sitting at someone else's table. Are you really considering waiting for scraps?" Vixen remained silent. Her mother sighed. That familiar mix of disappointment and control. Tade is not just offering you a ring. He's offering you sovereignty, stability, strategy. And you're hesitating for what? For a man who didn't even have the courage to tell you he was engaged? "It's not that simple," Vixen finally said. "It never is. But it's always necessary." Another pause. Then the dagger. "Vivian, a woman like you doesn't settle for love. She secures her position and lets love come later. You taught me that once, remember?" Vixen closed her eyes. The weight of her mother's words sank deep. And though she wanted to fight, part of her knew. Power, once held, could build love. But waiting for love might only cost you both. The car glided up the winding road like a black panther moving through night. A Rolls-Royce Phantom, Tade's favourite, custom wrapped in obsidian silk paint, its interior perfumed with sandalwood and Egyptian musk. Vixen stepped out in slow motion. A floor-length emerald dress hugged her figure like it had been moulded from moonlight and desire. The slit ran dangerously high. The back dipped scandalously low. She didn't just arrive, she descended. The estate stretched before her. Grandeur soaked in silence. Guards in tailored tuxedos nodded. The gates swung open like pages of a royal decree. Inside, the dining hall glowed, Candles floated mid-air like spirits. Crystal chandeliers dripped from the ceiling like tears of fire. A table, long enough to seat 20, opulent enough to humble royalty, ran down the center of the room. Gold-rimmed plates, monogrammed silk napkins, amethyst water goblets. The scent of spice and history hung in the air. She caught sight of Imelda, her mother, in a crimson velvet gown. Seated beside her was Senator Charles Della, stone-faced and unreadable. They weren't just guests, they were witnesses. From every angle, eyes turned. Business tycoons, fashion magnates, African elite from Lagos, Nairobi, Casablanca, and Johannesburg. Some she knew, some she'd only seen in headlines. All of them were watching one woman. Her. She was ushered to her seat, a silver name card in calligraphy, Ms. Vivian Della. Next to it, a place was left open for Tade. Soft Afro-jazz played from a live trio nestled in the corner. She sipped hibiscus nectar. Waiters glided like shadows between guests, delivering culinary poetry. Akatonshi with aged spices and baked crab meat. Egusi ravioli stuffed with smoked tilapia, bathed in palm butter sauce. Charcoal grilled goat, crusted in kapakpo shito and gold leaf flakes. Puff-puff canapes, crowned with sugared ginger mousse. Everything was art. Everything was intentional. But beneath the beauty, tension. It coiled around her spine, whispered in her ear. This is not just a meal. This is a stage. And somewhere in the silence between champagne toasts and camera flashes, she could feel his presence approaching. He entered like a monarch. Tade Owusu. In a cream agbada, hand-embroidered with gold thread, lions etched on the cuffs, a single emerald ring on his right hand, the one only worn during family declarations. He walked toward her. Every eye followed. But he only looked at one face. Heron. When he reached her side, he didn't speak. He held out his hand. And she rose. The room adjusted. Glasses stopped mid-air. Conversations froze. Imelda leaned slightly forward. He didn't need a microphone. He didn't need to raise his voice. He just spoke. Ladies, gentlemen, thank you for gracing us with your presence tonight. A pause. Then he turned fully to her. And to you, Vivian Della, my queen. The room held its breath. Tade's words echoed, my queen. Some gasped, some smiled knowingly, a few frowned. But Vixen? She just stared. Tade's hand was still outstretched, waiting. Then slowly, deliberately, he dropped to one knee. The box opened. Inside, the Ashanti star, a blue diamond said to be older than any kingdom still standing, set in white gold, flanked by yellow diamonds shaped like fire. It shimmered with stories, generations, power, but all Vixen saw was her reflection split into 100 tiny shards. Vivian Della, he said, voice unwavering. I've built empires, broken records, sat at tables most only dream of. But nothing. Nothing compares to the idea of building something with you. Let me crown you. Let me love you. Let me give you the world and protect it with mine. A tear rolled down the cheek of a woman 3 seats away. Another guest covered her mouth. The cameras, hidden but known, zoomed. This was history. This was spectacle. And Vixen stood at the edge of it all. Inside her chest, a battle. Say yes. Be queen. Rule with him. But what about Julius? She hadn't heard from him. Not a word. No message. No appearance. Was that not an answer in itself? Her hand hovered. Tade's eyes. Fierce, unwavering. But in her mind, she heard a different voice. Julius's voice. The way he'd once whispered to her in the gallery. The way he saw her, not just for her body or beauty, but for her fire. He hadn't fought, but maybe he couldn't. Because Nia wasn't just a woman. She was a treaty. She was safety. Vixen's lip trembled, just for a second. Her mother rose halfway from her chair, ready to clap. And still, silence. This wasn't a proposal, it was a reckoning. She could feel her soul split. The girl she had been, the woman she was becoming, and the queen they all wanted her to be. One step forward, and she'd be royalty. One step back, and she'd be a headline. She turned down a king. Her chest tightened. Her vision blurred. But then, the unexpected happened. A voice from behind, calm, confident, familiar. She doesn't belong to anyone. Heads turned, gasps echoed. Julius, standing in the doorway, wearing black on black, eyes only on her. Not unless she chooses to. The air thickened. Eyes darted between the man on one knee and the shadow now standing in the doorway. Tade rose slowly, gracefully, but his jaw tightened. The lion had been interrupted. Julius, he said coolly, a faint smile playing on his lips. Didn't expect to see you tonight, though I can't say I'm surprised. Julius took a step forward, each one echoing in the marble silence. His gaze never broke from Vixen. You're making a spectacle, Tade, but love isn't a campaign. Tade turned slightly. And yet, here you are, uninvited, late and bold as ever. Tell me, did your fiancé approve of this little stunt? A low murmur passed through the crowd. And then, she doesn't belong to anyone. His voice wasn't raised, but it carried. It swept across the room like a gust of wind before a storm. The tension crackled. Imelda Della's eyes sharpened. Her lips parted, but no words escaped. Senator Della's jaw flexed. 2 women across the room clutched their pearls. A waiter dropped a fork. The musicians stopped, and Vixen stood still. Time slowed. The words echoed again in her mind. She doesn't belong to anyone. Her throat tightened. Julius was here, in public, defying every political alliance, every family arrangement, every expectation. For her. And yet, he hadn't said he loved her. He hadn't said, "Come with me." But he had said the one thing that made her question everything, that she was hers, not his, not Tade's, her own. She looked around, at the cameras, at the guests, at the legacy breathing down her neck, and at the two men who would burn the world to have her. To be continued. What would you do? Would you accept the throne, or walk away from both kings? Would you chase power, or choose peace? And what if the thing you're chasing is already within you? Let us know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Because Vixen's story is just getting started.